Broadcasting from the C lot of Joan C. Edwards Stadium, the ThunderCast is here with all the sights and sounds of game day. We are your tailgate destination. We are your fan base amplification. We are the ThunderCast, and we are live. Welcome back to the final ThunderCast Live of the 2022 seasons. It's Senior Day in Huntington, West Virginia. The Herd's welcoming in the Georgia State Panthers, a 4-7 ball club we talked about on the weekly show. Senior Day for the Herd, as we mentioned. They're going to be honoring 20 seniors making their last appearance in the Kelly Green and White here at home at Joan C. Edwards Stadium. Russ, of course, is live and on location at the ThunderCast tailgate right behind the end zone across from McDonald's in the new C lot, posted up. And looks like a nice day out there. I see a lot of sunshine, so that's always beautiful. Always a plus.
You were here the last home game. Compared to that, this might as well be Jamaica. I'm telling you, it's in the 50s, but it feels in the 70s with the sun.
Oh, dang. I'm rocking with you can't even see me, right? And I'm wearing a hoodie because I was trying to match your energy, figuring it was going to be cold. And I'm sitting here in a, 72-degree office upstairs and just outside Tampa, Florida.
Yeah. It feels like Tampa, Florida here, I'm telling you, comparatively to last week, because last week it was Alaska. But feels good, man. Got a good crowd. I don't know what you guys can see there behind me on the lot, but I was here at 8 a.m. and we were the first ones in the C lot, but there was already people in the West lot when we got here at 8.
Cool. No, I can't see much. The M Club gazebo is kind of blocking the entire shot this week. And,
yeah, there's
I see an RV and a few people walking around, but
yeah,
I'm hoping that with this late breaking kind of flash sale ticket promo, that this will nudge some people to come out to the Joan. I mean, how are you going to beat $10 tickets? That's a freaking great promo.
$9 tickets.
$9 tickets? Dang, what did I see $10 tickets for?
No, they are. You asked how I could beat $10 tickets.
Oh, yeah. 6-minute abs.
6-minute abs. That's right. But no, great promo.
Did you lose your feed?
Hey, Jed in the truck, I've lost all ears.
Yep. Well, that's all right. I'll keep it rolling until you can get a replacement set of headphones. It's senior day. The Herd is working on its 8th victory of the season. I mean, like we keep saying, like a month ago, if we'd have thought that's what was going to happen, a lot of us wouldn't have believed that. But now this team is in a totally different direction than where they were a month and a half ago, since redshirt freshman quarterback Cam Fancher took over at the helm of this Herd offense. Every week it's been a lesson in, I don't know, something new, right? One week we run incredibly well. One week we pass incredibly well. One week we do a little bit of everything pretty good. And it looks like we're edging towards that week, and it's kind of got to be this week unless we're going to do it in a bowl game, which wouldn't hurt my feelings either. We're edging towards that performance to where it just all comes together. And you see the Herd run really well. You see the Herd pass really well. Did you get your ears back? Can you hear what I'm saying to you?
I got my ears. I don't know if someone tripped on a cord or what, but I got you now.
All right, good. No, you didn't miss much. We're just giving a little bit of synopsis and where the Herd is versus where they were about a month ago. And this might be the day in the continued evolution of this Herd offense to where we see a dominant passing and running game today.
Yeah, I am really, really, really looking forward to Laborn and Ali. I know we got that glimpse last week, but as I said on our weekly podcast, I kind of felt like that was the shake the rust off kind of deal. And today I really look forward to Ali. I think he's going to put in that big game, as I mentioned.
Well, I mean, he's the freshest of all, so if somebody's going to do it, I mean, any of them can do it, but if you think somebody's going to do it, you would like to think that it's probably going to be him today. But look, here's the deal, right? Kalen Laborn is far and away the leader in the Sun Belt Conference in rushing. He could probably not tally a yard today and still maintain the lead in the Sun Belt Conference rushing standings. He is, nearly 400 yards ahead of the number 2 place runner in the league, which is LaDamian Webb of South Alabama. Laborn's the only guy over 1,000 yards this season. So Laborn himself is already over 1,300 yards.
Yeah.
So it's going to take one hell of a game from LaDamian Webb to even sniff where Kalen Laborn is. So he's been doing it all year, and now to just be able to have another All-American running back there and an even more comfortable running quarterback in Cam Fancher to offset even more of those defensive key ends. This could be a big day again for this Herd rush defense, or for this Herd rush offense.
Well, let me quantify a little bit more about why I think you said fresh legs with Ali. That's 100% correct. But how often have we seen, and I know it's a different sport and it's a different surgery, but people coming back from a Tommy John surgery come back throwing harder and all that, and it's because not the surgery, it's the rehab that they've done. Basically, Ali has not been taking any hits while he's been doing all this rehab and getting stronger and stronger and stronger. That's just one reason I really, really think that he is going to have a massive game today. In a send-off to the season, not his career, in a send-off to the 2022 season that he had to sit out before we go bowling.
Well, I mean, we certainly hope it's not the end of his career, right? I mean,
nowhere
anything
near
can happen. Anything can happen.
Sure.
But that's an excellent point. He hasn't had the abuse of all the hits of a season's worth of games, so he's not quote-unquote dinged up. He's been getting his entire body has a full season minus one game, minus 16, 17 carries worth of rest. So he could come out and have a massively huge game today.
Yeah.
We talked about in the weekly episode what we need to do as a defense and how we match up as a defense against this Georgia State Panthers team. And we really like our chances. Both of us really like our chances because they put up a lot of yards. They may put up a lot of points, but they give up a lot of yards and they give up a lot of points.
They do.
And we like our chances at, I mean, without sounding like the late, great Sonny Randall, we like our chances of scoring more than we allow today. Yeah. But it all starts with stopping that quarterback, right? That Darren Granger, the dual threat, the leading passer, the only quarterback on the Georgia State roster to have thrown a pass this year, the leading rusher on that Georgia State team. I mean, he's the do-it-all guy, right?
Yes. Yeah, and that was my number one key to victory. We may talk more about those in a little bit, but my number one was to out-Granger with Cam Fancher. And if we do that, we are going to definitely outscore them in this game.
I tried to listen to a few Georgia State podcasts this week in my commutes to and from work, just to get an insight of what they think the herd might look like. And one offered really no preview of the football game whatsoever, which is shocking to me. And the other that I listened to, they didn't really, I don't think they really had their finger accurately on the pulse, let's say, because I think the main driver was, well, Marshall doesn't have anything to play for because they're already bowl eligible. I'm like, dude, it's a football game for one, and it's senior day too. Yeah. Those are two massive things to play for. Also, you've got a young quarterback who's continuing to evolve, so these games mean something. I mean, as much as you hope that they don't for the outlook of your team, this game still carries a ton of weight for the herd. So I still think that some of those guys feel like they match up really, really well with this herd defense, and I just don't see it. I'm not being a homer pick here. I just don't see it.
Well, let me quantify that, as I already used that term once, and hopefully that's the last time during this broadcast that I use that. But let me quantify that a little bit further. Every single game, you point to me. I said this on the pod. Point to me an athlete that does not want to win the game that they're in. These guys are not going to go out there and go, we've got nothing to play for. They are going to want to win this game. Senior day alone is more after being bowl eligible than anything else you could think of. But every single game, there is no reason that an athlete would want to go out there and say, well, I don't really care if I win or not. I've been an athlete. You've been an athlete. Every single game, when you lose them, they hurt. And that's why I have said repeatedly on the podcast that I don't want to beat up individual athletes or talk about their mistakes and things like that, because they are much harder on themselves than any talking head ever will be. You go home, and if you fumbled, you feel like you're the worst person in the history of the planet at that given time because you fumbled. If you get a holding penalty, if you do anything that puts your team at a disadvantage, you more than anyone else feel worse than anyone. So no one out there today is going to be playing lackadaisical. No one out there does not want to win this game. So for them to take that stance, and that being their only stance, it's not much of a hill to try to die on.
No, it just seemed really confusing to me. They talked about how they were in real control of that game against James Madison, and they were, but we talked about why. Yeah. 2 scooping scores in the first half gives you basically a 20-point lead. They scored, a few times also, but 2 defensive scores in the first half, and you have a 20-point lead going into halftime. And then you come out in the second half and allow 28 unanswered points, then get a late touchdown and miss the 2-point conversion, or it's stopped, however you view that, depending on which team you're a fan of, to lose the game 42-40. You never had any business being in that game. You're not going to get 2 defensive scores every week. So to have those kind of things happen and to not be able to capitalize on a win when you put up 40, that's very disconcerting if you're a Panthers fan. It has to be disconcerting.
Yeah, and I don't want to be a bully, and I don't want to talk down to them or whatever. But if they're hanging their hat on, man, we could have won that last game, it's not very promising.
Could have won isn't won,
right?
So you can't hang your hat on a loss,
right? It's like, well, we were up big. Yeah, you lost. So
Yeah, I know. And like I said, this is not what we're all about. We're not all about like kicking them when they're down and just kind of rubbing it in the mud. But
sure,
those things are like a little odd to me, right? And they might be a little bit better of a team than the 4-7 that their record has posted now. But
I think they definitely are. I'm giving them their due. They are a really dangerous team. I think that they can be in just about. They haven't been blown out this year. They have been in some tight games. So I think with their rushing ability, their dual threat quarterback, they are an absolute danger to a bunch of different people that they play. Their defense is the main problem.
Yeah, and that's therein lies the rub.
Yeah,
right, because this team, this Marshall offense, though having fewer rush yards than this Georgia State Panthers team, who leads the Sun Belt, by the way. There's a new wrinkle to this offense now that wasn't there all season long, and it's not just the return of Rasheen Ali, which is massively huge. It's not just the relative workload that's been reduced for Kalen Laburn these past few weeks, so he's probably feeling a little bit better than he otherwise would have been.
Yeah.
But it's also the emergence of Cam Fancher as a more reliable passer, a better reader of defenses, and now more willing to take that read option run and take off with it, or just take off when the defensive pass penetration starts to show up. It's a different animal now.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about it, but I love when Fancher is not looking just to scramble. He is getting out of the pocket, or he's moving where he needs to be to not be a threat to be sacked. But the entire time, as a redshirt freshman, he is looking upfield to see where he could throw and then throwing it away at the very last second if he has to. That is things that you would expect out of a junior, not out of a redshirt freshman.
Right. I guess we have to talk about, I'm looking at the schedule here, the Georgia State schedule and the results of those games. Their two biggest in-conference losses are to teams that you would expect to beat them fairly well, but also maybe a little bit of a story for how the herd relates to this team. Appalachian State handed them the largest loss of the season back on October 19th, 42-17. So that's a pretty resounding win up there in Boone. Yeah. Coastal Carolina beats Georgia State in Atlanta 41-24. Now, of course, we don't know the particulars of all those games, but we know what the herd did to Appalachian State. We know how that game played out, and we know that the herd was basically a pretty bad first quarter away from being far more competitive with Coastal Carolina. So take from that what you will, but still.
Well, I need to correct myself then, because I said they hadn't been blown out. I would consider both of those, at least the Boone game, to be a blowout. So misremembering on my part, but I thought they were more competitive. I know they've had a couple of close losses that makes that 4-7 schedule look a little worse than it is, but they're losses, right? Otherwise, we'd be talking here about how we're 10-1 because we lost some tight games and games we should have won. So
we did. So look, let me give you some context before you move on. Just because we have played App State so recently here, let's go back and I'll give you some generalized stats to maybe give you an idea what we might be looking at, right? So in that game, Georgia State turns the ball over 4 times against Appalachian State. Yeah. That was obviously the killer. Yeah. Obviously the killer. They were only able to tally just over 300 yards of offense in that game, and they went a miserable 5 of 14 on third down. But also in that game, Darren Granger held in check pretty convincingly. He did rush for exactly 100 yards in the game on 19 carries. Tucker Gregg went for another 93, so they put 228 total rush yards up on this App State defense. Yep. But in that game, passing-wise, Granger only 9 of 23 for 73 yards and an interception. Yep. So they had that Georgia State run game going, which you expect, but it was riddled with fumbles. They lost 3 fumbles in that game, and Granger threw an additional interception. So these guys will turn the ball over. You turn them over, you're going to win, basically.
Yep. let's get back to the game here in a few, but you know me, I'm tailgating. I want to talk a little bit about our tailgate. We have mimosas, we have screwdrivers, we have a lot of beer. You know, we always have to have a lot of beer here for people when they come by. And we have a toaster out here for the bread and doing Thanksgiving sandwiches. I really wish I could have put my Thanksgiving sandwich up in front of the camera because it was easily that big. If anyone is in the area, the vicinity of us, and wants to come by and get a huge Thanksgiving sandwich that you have to unhinge your jaw just to eat, please come by, break some bread with us, talk some football. We've got about 50 more minutes before the game is kicking off, so please come by, tailgate with us.
Yeah, which means we have just a little bit more time because we're not going to go all the way up to kickoff. We want you guys to be able to enjoy, or want you to be able to enjoy your final home tailgate of this 2022 season. And yes, I saw that our good friend Chuck McGill is tailgating for the first time in his life.
Yeah.
Which is, I know some people will find that as surprising, but Chuck's worked in collegiate athletics for a long time. He worked in the media before that at Charleston Gazette. So he was always working on game days.
Yep.
So
I'm going to see if I can get him on camera.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Chuck. You've been requested to be on camera, not to speak. He said no, Kenny. He doesn't like you.
I see him shaking his head. You can tell him to get his ass over there. I can see him all over there standing, having a good time.
Kenny, he said that he never liked you and you were a horrible center fielder.
Well, he's okay. I'll take that. Right. Let's.
He said you were an absolute liability in the outfield.
I was. Okay. I actually was. Now, I was a great glove. I was a terrible arm. Anyway, let's talk about the guys we got going through senior service.
Yeah.
I made senior day ceremonies. I made I made a list here. So if you want, I don't know how to handle this. I don't just want to rip them all off, but you know, there's some guys that we're going to have to talk about, obviously, right? Because they've been integral to what the Herd's been doing for a number of years. Some of those guys just transferred in this year, so, you know, they've played a role for this season. Some of them have been here for, you know, it's their sixth year. So 20 guys, and the Herd Football Twitter account, the official Herd Football Twitter account, was tweeting out a series of pictures yesterday. They did 5 of a collage of 4 players, so 20 guys overall. Now here's where it gets weird. There were 20 guys listed on the Herd Zone article for Senior Day. Mm-hmm. They weren't the same 20 guys.
All right.
So, and to further exacerbate that, the names that they listed in the Herd Zone article, there's only 19. So they're really giving it to old KD here, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. But look, I think I've got most of them nailed down. So let's talk about them. First of all, long snapper Zach Appio, transfer linebacker Jace Bobo, Damian Barber, defensive back Joshua Bowers, of course, transfer starting quarterback the first half of the season Henry Columbi, running back, great one, Kalen Labern, Isaias Carpenter, Jacob Kirkendall, defensive back transferred in this year Isaiah Norman, tight end who will go down in Herd history with the aforementioned Henry Columbi for the touchdown reception at Notre Dame, Devin Miller, Cedrice Palant, Stacy Marshall Jr., the tight end that comes over from Arizona, Anthony Watts, defensive lineman from Purdue, Stone Scarcelli, the microwave, the mayor. I mean, finally going to walk through senior ceremonies for the Herd. Stephen Fauché, Micah Abraham, Charlie Gray, and JT Dukes. Now, look, there's a couple of other guys that we've got. Oh, and Abraham Beauplan, he's the 6th year, of course. A couple of other guys that we've got to talk about here, which is some things that are a little surprising. Listed both on the Herd Twitter feed and in the article, redshirt junior defensive end Owen Porter. Mm-hmm. Now, Owen's going to has another year, obviously, so is this the end of his collegiate career? Is he going to return to the Herd? Or after this bowl game, or maybe even before the bowl game, is he going to hit the portal? I don't know. There's a lot of ways that one could go. Also, it looked like perhaps junior linebacker Eli Neal was also pictured in the Senior Day ceremonies. I'm not sure about that. I'm just trying to use my powers of deduction. But also not listed was Corey Gamage. So that could be a huge weapon that potentially returns. You just never know with the transfer portal and how these things go. You know, it used to be a definite indication. You go through senior service and you're kind of, that's it. But now it's not really the case anymore. So what are your thoughts on some of these guys? I know I rattled off a lot of names, but some names are really familiar to you. Guys that have made plays that will stand out in your mind probably until you draw your last breath on this planet Earth.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Well, anyone that is missing next year that still has eligibility with the Herd, I am going to be sad that they're not on here, because the names that you mentioned that have eligibility left have been big contributors. It will be a downer. No sugarcoating that. However, I am of the belief that once a son of Marshall, always a son of Marshall, and I will cheer for them no matter where they go, but especially Owen Porter, who is a Huntington native, Huntington area native. I never take the disappointment as kind of like being that scorned person that I'm going to say, oh, you're dead to me because you didn't come back. You know, why'd you turn your back on the Herd? I'm not that guy. I'm just going to hate that they're not going to be here next year if they so choose. Now, you mentioned, will they come back? Just because they're walking today or being honored today does not necessarily mean that they will not come back. We've seen that before, right?
We have seen that before.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a let's wait and see approach. No knee-jerk reactions from me, other than anyone that still has eligibility and is not coming back. I hate that. I do.
Yeah,
but
I do too.
But what am I going to do, right? I'm not going to go knock on their door and try to persuade them to stay. I know that in this new era, this is a possibility that you're going to have people transferring out, but you're also going to have people transferring in. We had 48 new players on our team, and I think almost exactly half, if not exactly half of those, were from the transfer portal. So I think that we're going to have a lot of that, not only next season, but year after year after year. It's just the new norm, right? With the transfer portal, you're going to have people transferring down, you're going to have people transferring laterally, you're going to have people transferring up, and that's just the way it is.
Yep. It is just the way it is. And look here, I'm going to piggyback off of what you're saying, right? I'm that guy too. I'm not going to get into someone's mentions and just ask them why, because
Sure.
Look, they do whatever they want to do. I love having every one of these guys in the Kelly green and white. Love it.
Yep.
You know, I cheer for them. I enjoy cheering for them. But here's the deal. If you're going through senior service, senior ceremonies, and you're an underclassman, let's say, you've probably already graduated then. Mm-hmm. So you've fulfilled your obligation to the Herd.
Yep.
You played football for a college degree. You completed that college degree. Now, if you choose to go somewhere else, what can you say?
Especially with that extra COVID year that happens more often than not now. And I took that same stance when the two basketball players, Williams and West, transferred out. They got their degree from Marshall, and they spent 5 years here. So what more can you ask, right?
Right. What you can't ask for. The only thing that is a little bit of a downer is, you know, let's say you transfer out and you go play somewhere for a year, and you're thinking, all right, I just need to showcase my skill set on a much bigger stage. If that's your thought process, right?
Yeah.
And then that doesn't work out the way you had hoped it would, or you know, you go and you get injured and that doesn't work out from that capacity, and that just kind of that sucks for that guy, right?
Yeah.
But then you're like, man, you know, it's gonna be a little weird going back to Herd games where I was a great and I transferred out, and you know, so it is what it is, right? I got no ill will towards anybody. I wish all these guys the best of luck. I hope they all are able to make the best decisions of their lives. I see Chuck back there kind of creeping. He's behind you. Yeah. He's sneaky. Look at him, sneaky. But I wish them all the best. So we'll see if any of those guys return. The transfer portal is going to be basically the Wild West once again. We've already seen a lot of names from the FCS ranks in the transfer portal. Some of those guys have found new landing spots. As the bowl games start to unfold, you always now see guys opting out. You see guys hitting the portal early. You see all this kind of stuff. So very interesting, let's just say. But congratulations to all 20 of these guys going through senior ceremonies for the Herd. Let's go out and get us a big blow, the biggest blowout win of the season. But let's close it out with this, Russ. It's about 11:20. You've got a little bit of time here before kickoff. We're not going to go through the keys again. Let's just see if a score prediction has changed for you, and then we'll let you get back to tailgate.
Well,
we got to get Jed. We got to get Jed in here too.
That you stole my lead in because you mentioned interesting, and I was going to say I can't think of anyone more interesting than Jed. So
Jed.
I'm going to have Jed come out here, and we're going to talk about how this is possible for us to do this. Two idiots, me and you, being live. In high definition and streaming to YouTube. How does this happen? What happens because of Jed and Ignite Link? And Jed is not going to have any ears. I'm going to give Jed my ears. How's that? KD, I'm going to have you interview Jed here. We had an accident with the headphones there, as you saw earlier, so I'm going to give him my headphones, and he can tell you how he did all this.
Before you give him his headphones, hey, I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the bowl game invite that we talked about. Okay. Since it's the last game.
Okay. Here's Jed.
All right. It's Jed.
Oh yeah.
It's Jed.
Yeah, it started to get a little warm in the production truck. I was actually very surprised.
Getting a little warm here. I need to uncork the hoodie a little bit.
I don't understand. I was getting prepped for some rainy weather again. You know, a little bit of cold and mud, and it's a beautiful day today. Beautiful.
Yeah, it really looks like it. Lots of sunshine. I mean, blue. I don't even see any clouds. There might be some thin ones way back in there, but man, it just looks like a gorgeous day. Who would have thunk it, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we've sat through some bitter ass cold final weekends of the season here in Huntington, West Virginia. That's for sure.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah. Who would have thought that the late November home football game would be almost 60 degrees and sunny and beautiful and almost no clouds. I just, what's a Marshall home game without, pouring rain? I just don't know.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what it would be like to have, thawed out feet, let's say.
Right. Yeah,
I was at home for a solid 2 or 3 days before I got feeling back at all my toes.
Oh, I'm sure. I had the hot hands in the car and all that. I was ready to go, and here we are.
Which by the way, those were pretty clutch. Thank you for that.
Hey, listen, I learned my lesson the hard way one time. Man, I can't remember which game that was, but I didn't have that. It was like 30 degrees, and it was I was like you, man. I didn't feel my fingers and toes for a good week. After that game.
Never again, right?
Right.
So let's talk about what we do here at ThunderCast Live, which, by the way, seems to be gaining in popularity every week of the season, right? So that tells me a couple of things. A, we as a collective group, but you in particularly, are doing a fabulous job putting this thing on. You in particular and Ignite Link particularly are doing a great job of just powering this whole operation so that it is there every home game for us to be and folks to find. So let's talk about what it is that Ignite Link does aside from powering live tailgate shows for the ThunderCast.
Yeah, absolutely. Ignite Link is a managed IT services provider. The short of it is we work mostly with small, medium-sized businesses where having a dedicated, in-house IT department doesn't make sense. So we come in, we consult with you, we evaluate your network and your needs, and we provide you the security and peace of mind knowing that your IT infrastructure is protected and usable, so you can focus on what you do with your business and not have to worry about your IT and the security and are you in compliance and those things. So that's what we do for our clients here. Most of our clients are located right here in Huntington, in and around the tri-state area. So we're local to serve local.
And we've talked about this before. It's not that your expertise doesn't rank pretty high up there, but the most important thing really is that you guys are Marshall alums, you're Marshall fans, and you're here to serve this community, right? Your offices are right downtown on 9th Street Plaza. Easy to find. Tell the folks how they can get a hold of Ignite Link.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple ways. You can find us on social media, facebook.com/IgniteLink, twitter.com. Our handle's just @IgniteLink. You can email me directly, jed@ignite.link. If you have any questions or concerns, or if you're interested in IT but don't know where to start, we'll take you. We'll handhold you along the way, as we say. We'll come in and work with you and provide a custom tailored solution that meets your business's needs. All businesses are different, right? So your IT needs are a little bit different. How you communicate with your vendors and your customers, and how you process transactions and bill and pay. All those things are a little bit different depending on the business model. So, but yeah, just jed@ignite.link, or you can hit us up on Twitter or Facebook. Any of those avenues, you can reach us that way.
Awesome. I love the fact that you're throwing in that this is a custom built solution. It's not a one size fits all type deal. You're not trying to force a business to fit into what you do. You will do what that business does to make it really, really work for them. And I think that has to be a huge draw if I'm a business owner. I don't want to be paying for a bunch of features that I don't need, but I also want to be making sure that I have exactly what I do need. So guys, if you're in need, if you're listening, you don't, wait a minute, let me ask you, you don't have to have a business in Huntington, right, Jed? You could be in, say, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely. We can, most of our work that we do is remote. When it comes to managing and maintaining your equipment, we have clients where we drop ship stuff to. Like I said, the bulk of our business is right here in town, but we can do consulting for you at a higher level if you're a larger business who has internal IT department, but you have some needs, questions over security. How's your data getting backed up and secured? Are you having some compliance needs or questions? Those are things that we can work with you on, and we do have clients that are outside of the tri-state area that we work with on a remote basis. So absolutely, it's there's a lot that we can offer, from basically managing the entire thing to just being that consultant. Hey Jed, we got a question for you. What do you think about this? Have you seen this before? We're experiencing these problems, or and that's where kind of our skill set comes into play. Is like you mentioned, it isn't just a one size fits all, and so we can definitely consult with you if you are not local to the area.
See, we're trying to expand Ignite Link's empire throughout the Sun Belt Conference. So if you happen to be in Boone, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Statesboro, in Troy, Alabama, any of these places, and you need IT services, and you just want a guy that knows his stuff, this is it. Jed at Ignite Link, guys. And plus, look at the tailgate, the live tailgate show that we put on. You're watching it now. If you're listening to this, you're watching that live. This is all powered by Ignite Link, and we say this every week. This is not what they do, yet this is exactly what he has done. Jed, look, it's getting close to kickoff. It's 11:27. You got a few minutes here. We're going to get you back to the tailgating experience here a little bit. Let's talk about a couple of things.
Sure.
Do you have a quick key or two to victory and a score prediction? And then I've got one more thing for you after that.
Well, we've got a couple quick keys and I think I like the term you guys use is let them eat. We've got Ali back last game. You got Leyburn doing Leyburn things. You've seen Cam Fancher starting to come out a little bit. I see this offense growing week in, week out. And I mentioned this I believe it was the last game, home game, was, finish the job. We're getting down in the red zone. We've had some more success. Let's finish the job. Punch a few more into the end zone like I know we can do. And I think this offense can get cooking today.
Well, I certainly hope so. We're kind of going to see a little bit of a mirror image in ourselves. This is a true dual threat quarterback that we're facing. Darren Granger leads the team in rushing for Georgia State, only quarterback to have thrown a pass for this Panthers offense. He's their whole offense. So if you can get him rattled, you have a really, really big opportunity to make some noise today. But look, do you have a score prediction for this game?
And I've done this every week, it seems, but I know what this offense can do. So I'm going to see us breaking the 30 threshold today, and I'm going to call for 35-14, obviously for the Herd.
Well, pretty close. I can't remember what Russ said. I think it was a little bit higher than that, but I felt 31-17 was the way to go. So it looks like you and I are right in line with our ways of thinking. I think we can move the ball as well. I think Georgia State will score a few times, but ultimately this Herd defense will be the difference maker in this game. Last thing I want to talk to you about, Jed, is Russ and I have been talking about it for a couple of weeks now, and we would like to extend the invite to you to come on and be the third co-host when we do Marshall's bowl game preview. Are you down with that?
I am 100% down for that. I appreciate the invite. I will be there. Absolutely.
We felt like that would be a nice, fun thing to do, and we just appreciate all that you guys do to help us with this show and help us power ThunderCast Live. And we thought, you know what? There's not going to be a tailgate. Jed won't be like busy. So let's get him on, and we'll just have a really nice extended bowl game preview show. We'll be able to get into some deep diving stuff and talk about a lot of stuff, and it'll just be a lot of fun. So we'll look forward to that happening. We're glad to bring you along. I bet this is going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the invite. This has been a blast this year working with you guys, and I know this isn't the end of working with you. We got a lot of exciting things that you and I and Russ have discussed, and looking forward to what other content we can help bring to the listeners and to the viewers. Now that you guys are on YouTube now and have that video content, definitely looking at next steps on what we can do just to provide more for those faithful listeners and followers of the ThunderCast.
Awesome. I know this is not going to be the smoothest of exits today because Russ has disappeared behind you there, and you're going to have to get over there and close out the episode, but I'm going to do my best to take us out. So I don't know if you want to try to make your way over there while I'm doing that, but this is going to be pretty quick.
Yeah. You go right ahead. You can take us out, KD, and I will run back to the truck here.
All right, buddy. Good to talk to you. Guys, it is the home finale for the Herd, looking to get that 8th win on the season, honoring the 20 Herd seniors that are going through senior ceremonies today. Let's try to get one against the Georgia State Panthers and get some real momentum as we look forward to bowl bids. If we are able to get this win, it'll be Marshall's first 4-game winning streak of the season, and young Cam Fancher will move to 4-1 as a starter for this 2022 Thundering Herd. It's been a great season. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching ThunderCast Live all season long. We've had a blast bringing you this show. Big thanks to my co-host Russ Livingood. Big thanks to my sponsors at the Ignite Link and what they do to help us power ThunderCast Live. That's it. Let's go get us a dub. We'll talk to you on the recap. Go Herd.